because the ice is there. The ice is there plugging the pipes. It's later on when the ice moves out of the way. This is the power of freezing ice. Now, last point I want to make is, well, how about the density of water just as water? Does it change density? Yes, it does. Okay? As you cool water, it takes up slightly less and less volume. Hardly noticeable if you're just swimming in it or just looking. If you heat water, it takes up slightly more volume. And a lot of the increased sea level rise in the future of global warming is simply because the oceans are warmer. And they're warmer, they take up, let's say it's 1% more depth.
Right.
But what is 1% more depth in the middle of the ocean where it's 3 miles deep? Okay. If it's 1% more depth, by the time you get to the shoreline, you have flooding.
Right.
Okay. So let's cool the water. It gets colder and colder and colder. It begins to shrink. Well, at some point that has to turn around because eventually it's going to become ice where it's bigger. There is a point where ice is at its densest, and it's 3 degrees Celsius.
Really?
Okay, so you cool water at the surface. It's denser than the water below it, and so that cool water drops, and it goes to the bottom. Okay? And it stays there. You keep trying to cool water at the top, and it goes down to the bottom. But what happens now? You're cooling water. Now the water is 2 degrees Celsius or 1 degree Celsius. It begins to stay on top. Then it hits 0 degrees Celsius. It freezes on top.
On top.
Keeping the 3-degree water at the bottom.
Right.
Preserving wintertime.
That's why you don't have bird's eye frozen fish once the lake freezes.
Just think about it. If ice sank, oh my gosh, you would freeze lakes from the bottom up. You'd freeze the top layer, would go to the bottom, and slowly but surely, all the fish would be swimming in an ever thinner layer of water until you just go and scoop them all up, and that's the last fish that would ever exist in that lake.
Oh, what a bear's dream.
So, no, they're hibernating. They're missing this.
That's true, yeah.
So this feature of water protects life over the winter, aquatic life over the winter.
Wow.
And once you form the ice layer on the top, it actually insulates the bottom. You get really cold on top, but how long will that take to transmit through a thick layer of ice? It takes a long time. By then, it's daytime compared to night, or spring has come, and so you rarely, if ever, do you end up freezing an entire lake. And it's because of this property of water that ice floats, that ice is less than water.
That is amazing. And it's pretty cool that this becomes like its own little closed ecosystem where the ice freezes on top, insulates the water beneath it so that all the life is protected.
It's protected.
That's amazing.
It's basically it. So this is a feature of this fact about water, the water molecule. One other thing, it's what enables you to ice skate. Okay, because the reverse is true. So if I have an ice cube and it's sitting at, let's say, 30 degrees, okay?
Right.
And it's frozen, so -1, let's say, Celsius. If I squeeze it, under pressure, I'm trying to put it into a smaller volume. Mm-hmm. Ice won't let you do that.
Right.
But if I press it really hard, what's the only way the ice can respond to you to go into a smaller volume?
It's got to become water.
It's got to become water. So you can squeeze melt something even at sub-freezing
temperature. Oh my God! That's how you get the great ice spheres for drinking scotch. What you just said, they take a copper press. And I'm too excited about this. I'm sorry.
Is this bar information that you're sharing?
I know. Now we're talking about scotch and drinking. I'm like, oh my God!
And you don't even have your scotch voice today.
I know, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
You want another scotch?
Definitely need a little scotch. That's what I'm saying.
Let me just finish this point. So, when you're skating on ice, okay, the blade is the way it's sharpened is it has a very sharp edge on one side and on the other, on the left and on the right hand side. So you go on an edge, and skaters know about this, or on the inside edge or on the outside edge. There's a lot of pressure. We've got to do a whole other explainer video on force and pressure. But that pressure is so high that it actually melts the ice in place. and the skate glides on a bead of water.
Wow, that's great.
That's why ice is slippery on ice skates.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that same premise you just demonstrated. When you get they make spheres of ice for drinking
I love
scotch.
ice spheres. Yeah.
Ice spheres, and they use for some reason copper. I don't know why, but they use the copper or brass, one or the other, and they just put the ice in the sphere and they let the brass. It's a big weight. It's a brass weight or a copper weight, and it just presses down on the ice, and then the ice melts into a ball. That is so cool.
Oh, okay. So okay. So they're shaping the sphere from the pressure on a shape that's not a sphere.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah. So under pressure, yes, it'll melt. Under pressure,
it melts.
Yet when you relieve the pressure, it freezes instantly.
It freezes right back,
because it's the below freezing temperature that you started with.
Exactly, and then you just have a literal ball of ice.
Okay, Chuck. I don't go to many bars. I've never seen this. I trust that in your bar hopping, this is something that feature. Okay.
I'm gonna have to get you out, man.
I gotta get out more often. Okay.
I'm gonna have to get you out of the house.
All right, so that's it, Chuck. That's ice is less dense than water.
Nice. I'm always fascinated how we end up in these great places from something so seemingly mundane as a cube of ice or ice melting.
And next time we do this, we got to do this with one of your spheres of ice. And I want to do a whole explainer video with you and your Scotch voice. Okay.
Oh, absolutely. Not a problem.
Break it down. Everybody knows how to break it down. When the question is digestion, the answer is easily found. Break it down, break it down. Your body knows how to break it down. When the question is digestion, your body knows how to break it down. When the question is digestion, your body knows how to break it down.
Thank you. I think all the stuff that happens in our bodies is
fascinated how we end up in these great places from something so seemingly mundane as a cube of ice or ice melting.
And next time we do this, we got to do this with one of your spheres of ice. And I want to do a whole explainer video with you and your Scotch voice. Okay.
Oh, absolutely. Not a problem. I'll start on it right now.
Right now. Wait a minute. We got this. All right. Okay, next on Star Talk's Things You Thought You Knew edition, you won't hear an entire explainer on Chuck's Scotch whiskey voice, but you will hear us talk about the concept of weight in space. We'll see you in a bit.
Okay, Neil, here's one for you.
Oh, okay.
Okay, all right.
I thought you'd give me a week rest here, but you're not. Okay.
Oh, not at all, no. No rest for the weary?
No.
No rest for the weary.
All right, what do you have?
Okay, so in space, how much does an astronaut weigh?
You see, weight is not what you think it is. You remember we did one of these where we talked about mass versus weight. Do you remember that?
Right.
We talked about that. And I said, you want to weigh less? Go to the top of a mountain. Okay,
Right.
You'll burn calories getting up there, so you lose a little bit of weight for that. But at the top of a mountain, you're farther away from Earth's center, and you run the math, you weigh a little bit less. Nothing significant, nothing large, but a measurable amount. Okay.
Right. It's not going to replace. It's not going to replace your P90X workout.
Exactly. Thank you.
Right.
Not only that, you don't weigh as much in air as you would in a vacuum. Okay, because air has a buoyant force that makes you weigh a little less than you would if there was no air around you. We don't even think about that. That doesn't even. But a helium balloon knows everything about that.
Right. That's
Right?
so funny.
You
Yeah.
remember that, right? Helium balloon cares what the buoyant force of the air is on it because
Right.
it wants to float at the top of the air. Okay. So I ask you, what do you weigh when you're in the water? If I say, Chuck, what do you weigh? And you'll probably give me your weight on dry land.
Right.
But your weight in the water, since you're about the density of water, your weight is basically zero.
Really?
Okay? Some people float, some people sink, and on average, people just sort of bob there.
Right.
That means you weigh nothing. You're weightless in the water. In fact, NASA trains astronauts in a huge swimming pool to simulate what it'd be like to be weightless in space. Do you realize there's a swimming pool big enough to submerge an entire mock-up of the Hubble Space Telescope? And to put in astronauts in there with tools to work on it?
Okay, that's the pool I want to swim in.
That's a badass pool, right? I think it's the biggest swimming pool in the world, actually.
Yeah, that pool is dope. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's more than 3 feet because.
But there's no diving board.
Right. Yeah. If only there was a diving board. That pool would be amazing.
Let me dive down the tube of the Hubble telescope.
And if they had a water slide too, oh my God.
So here's the thing. When we think of the blue whale, for example, the largest animal there ever was. By the way, point of pride, blue whale is a mammal. Okay,
Yes.
so mammals have the record. They're bigger
Right.
than dinosaurs ever were. We can say, well, how much does it weigh? And you look it up and you Google it, and it'll give you a weight for that whale, a full-grown whale. But no, excuse me, that's if you took it out of the water, put it on land, and put it on a scale.
Right.
But that's not where it lives. That's not its environment. No.
By the way, I'd like
have
to see that scale.
You'd have to. You'd have to weigh it in the water, and when you do that, it weighs zero. That's why whales can just hang there.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful thing to see.
Okay, if they had weight in the water, they would sink.
Right.
So they're just there. They're very close to zero. So they still have all the mass. So I'm saying we don't really think of the word weight the way we ought to in a sort of physically significant way. That's I just want to put that out there.
Okay.
Whales weigh nothing in the water, and they don't hang out on land, so the weight on land is kind of irrelevant to us and to them. Okay? So really, we should find a way to think about how much mass they contain rather than simply how much they weigh. And usually that's what people mean when they say that.
Right.
But I just want to try to be clear about that, physically clear about that. Okay,
And whales are a lot of blubber, so muscle weighs more than fat, so probably not a lot of mass there.
No, it's a lot. No, no, there's still a lot of mass.
There's still a lot of mass. I know. I'm just trying to not body shame the whale. That's
Body shaped.
I don't want to body shame the whale. That's
You're the one that said they got blubber. You started it. All right, so now, astronauts in orbit weigh precisely zero.
Precisely.
Zero. Okay? And it's not because they're far away from Earth. As I've said in others of these, how far away is the astronaut from Earth if they visit the space station? 3/8 of an inch above a schoolroom globe. If you shrunk it all down to that, it'd be 3/8 of an inch away.
Right.
That's close.
It's a fingernail.
Right. So, or finger, yeah, the width of your finger, less even.
Yes, less than, yeah.
Yeah. So that's the distance.
Right.
So you can't tell me, oh, they're in space, they've left gravity. No. If you've left gravity by being in orbit, then what the hell's holding the moon in orbit? Okay?
Right.
What do you think the moon is orbiting? Of course,
Well,
the moon feels Earth's gravity.
And it could also be, the moon is kind of sweet on the Earth, so.
So, and there was a well-known news announcer back in the 1960s who, when the Apollo astronauts were headed to the moon for the first time, they said the Apollo astronauts, as of 8:30 this morning, whatever time it was, have officially left the gravitational pull of the Earth. And it's
Wow.
like, no.
They actually said that on the.
Yes,
Wow.
yes. You can't leave the gravitational pull of the Earth en route to the moon if the moon is orbiting Earth.
Right.
Okay, so I don't think they thought that through. And in fact, in the equations, Earth's gravitational field gets less and less and less as you go out in space, but it never actually hits zero until you get to infinity. Okay? So, you tell me when you get to infinity, call me and we'll talk. So, the reason why they're weightless has nothing to do with their distance from Earth. It has to do with the fact that they were falling towards Earth. You're
Wow.
in free fall. So I put you in an elevator shaft in a tall building, and I cut the cable.
Right.
Okay. No, I put you in the elevator. You're just standing there, right? So here we
Right.
go, and you're standing on a scale that has a spring. So you're squeezing the spring, and it shows your weight. But let's just use round numbers. Say you're 200 pounds. Okay. So there you are. The scale registers 200 pounds because you're squeezing the scale. Okay.
Right.
Gravity's pulling on you to squeeze the spring to indicate the measure. Okay. Now I cut the elevator cable. Okay. So what now happens? The elevator drops.
Right.
The scale drops.
Right.
You drop.
Right.
All three of you are now falling at exactly the same rate.
Right.
So there's no net force of you on the spring.
Right. There's right.
So while you are falling, you weigh zero.
And the scale will say zero because
The
it will
scale
not,
will say zero.
because there will be no compression to measure.
Correct. And here's another measure of that. You ready? Let's
ahead.
say you're in an elevator and it's just standing there and you're holding, from my professor angle, I say you're holding a piece of chalk, but no one holds chalk. So
Right.
what are you holding?
Where-
Holding a ball, okay?
Okay.
There you go. If you let go of the ball, it drops to the ground, right? Okay?
Right.
In fact, drop it is synonymous with let go because gravity does that work, right?
Right.
The phrase drop it, you just let go.
Right.
You could just say let go and it means drop it, all right? Because we live in a gravitational field that
That doesn't work in a cop movie though. It just sounds off.
Sorry.
Let go of the gun. Let go of the gun.
They do say drop the gun. They do say it.
Right, yeah.
All right.
And unless you're black, in which case they just
That's a
shoot
whole other thing. All right.
you. Okay, let's go.
So now what happened? Now I cut the elevator cable. Now you begin to fall. Now you're standing
Right.
there holding the ball. Now let go of the ball.
Right.
Well, you're falling. The ball is falling at exactly the same rate you are. So it'll appear to float in front of your face.
Right. But really,
But it's
you're
not
both
floating.
You're both just falling.
Everybody's falling. But from
Right.
your point of view, you're saying to yourself, wow, it's floating. I'm floating. You do this until you die when the elevator hits the bottom.
Right. Exactly.
It's a beautiful experiment until you're a pile of goo when the elevator hits the bottom.
Yeah, and the ball survives, of course.
The ball bounces, yes.
Right. You know.
All right, so here's the deal, okay? I'm telling you the astronauts in orbit around the Earth are falling towards Earth.
Right.
In free fall, just like you in the elevator cable that I just cut.
Right.
All right? Now, the reason why they don't hit Earth is because they have really fast sideways motion. So watch what happens, okay? Watch what happens. Here you are in an elevator, and you know you're going to hit the ground and you're going to die, okay? Now I'm going to say, all right, let's take this elevator and move it sideways really fast.
Right.
Okay? Well, how fast should it go? Let's move it sideways so fast, so by the time it drops a foot, let's say, Earth has curved a foot away from it. You drop 5 feet, Earth has curved 5 feet away from it. So whatever distance you have fallen, the curvature of Earth, because you're traveling so fast downrange, the curvature of the Earth
Cancels it out.
It cancels it out.
Wow.
Precisely.
That's perfect.
And there's one speed for which that is true. And that is if you go sideways 5 miles per second
Wow.
on Earth. So you go sideways 5 miles per second. At that speed, you will free fall to Earth at exactly the same rate Earth curves away from you. You will never hit Earth. And we have another word for this, because if you never hit Earth, this will just keep going.
Right. You just go right.
You come back where you started and you keep going. We have a word for that. It's called orbit. So orbit is free fall with high sideways velocity around the Earth. And that's why people say, oh, we launched the rocket into space today. What you really did was, have you ever watched a rocket more than just a couple of minutes after the launch pad?
Yeah.
Okay, what does it do? It's downrange.
It starts to careen off. Like,
Right. Most of the energy that's launching that rocket is not to get it into space. No, it's to give it that sideways motion at 5 miles per second so that it can sustain an orbit around the Earth.
That's pretty dope.
It's totally dope. And you know who first figured this out? My man.
No, don't even say it. Isaac Newton.
my man, Isaac Newton. Okay, he drew a picture. He had Earth, okay, and he drew a little mountain, and he had a little, was it a cannon or something at the top of the mountain? He said, what happens if you shoot the cannon out sideways, okay, and it just hits the ground? Suppose you give it more speed, it'll go farther before it hits the ground. Let's giving it more and more speed. And as you follow this diagram, the cannonball continues around the Earth, but still hits Earth. Is there a speed where it goes all the way around the Earth, does not hit Earth, and it hits you in the back of the head? But you duck, and the cannonball continues. Is there a speed for that? Yes. And he figured out what that speed is, and that's the speed of orbit around the Earth. And like I said, that's 5 miles per second.
Wow.
Isaac Newton invented orbits with that simple diagram.
That's pretty
And in so doing, he merged our understanding of falling objects with the orbit of the moon around the Earth. This was his revelation when he watched the apple fall. He didn't hit him on the head, by the way.
Right.
He watched the apple fall straight down, and he sees the moon in orbit around the Earth. And he said, this is exactly the same phenomenon.
Wow.
Except the moon is going sideways so that it doesn't hit the Earth. So the moon in Earth's gravity is weightless because it's in free fall around the Earth.
There you go.
Okay.
Wow, that's amazing.
Okay, so now I gotta put this out there. The movie
Okay.
Ad Astra, okay?
Yes, with Matt Damon.
No, not
I'm sorry.
other-
Wait, don't
the
tell me.
other
Don't
one.
tell me. It's because that's the Martian.
Marcia. Get
The
your
guy looking
leading
for-
men straight.
Yeah, that's Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt.
Looking for his dad, who was
Okay.
Tommy Lee Jones.
Correct. Okay, so in that movie, they knew correctly that you don't have to wait 3 days to get to the moon. That's like a sort of a minimum energy transfer to the moon, where you fire your rockets until you have enough to sort of get into the moon's pull, and then the moon pulls you down, so you use minimal fuel. But if you want to get there, you can get there in a few hours. You just use a lot of rocket
right.
fuel. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
If your rockets are burning on your ship, you have weight on that ship because it's accelerating towards you.
Right.
Okay? That is no different from you having weight standing here on Earth, because Earth, the force of gravity is that same phenomenon.
Right.
Okay? So if I go in a ship, and I don't care where I am in the universe, if I'm accelerating the ship at 9.8 meters per second, that's the acceleration of gravity on Earth. If I accelerate the ship at that speed in any direction, I can stand up at the bottom of the ship, and it is as though I'm standing on Earth. And what I'm telling you is that in that movie, they showed people jetting around the solar system because it's the future, and the rockets are always ignited, and everyone is floating in the ship. No.
No. It wouldn't have
They
worked
got
like that.
totally wrong. Okay?
So what would have happened is they would have been pinned up against
the thing. If it's strong acceleration, that's right.
Right.
Because what's happening is at any given moment, the whole system is going at a certain speed, okay? But if it's accelerating, then the ship is accelerating towards you.
Right.
And so it's going to come up against you and put a scale between there. You're going to have an equivalent weight on that ship.
Wow.
So space is not inherently a weightless place unless you are free falling towards one place or another. And to make that happen, you can't have rockets firing.
Just got to have the sideways motion going on.
Around the Earth.
Around the Earth.
Or you launch from the Earth and you reach up and you turn off your rockets and
Right.
then you free fall towards the moon.
Right.
Then you're weightless that whole way. But the moment you turn on the rockets, you're going to pin to the side, the back, the front. And so, in fact, there are long-term plans to go to Mars if you don't want to lose bone mass and all this, and you don't want to rotate the ship. You accelerate halfway there, okay?
Right.
And then you have to decelerate, otherwise you'll miss Mars. So what they do is, then they turn the rocket around,
Right.
okay? Then you decelerate, but in either case, you can have equivalent of 1G.
1G.
You can have Earth gravity the whole way.
Wow, look at that.
And you'll get there like in weeks, a couple of weeks.
That's cool.
Accelerate, and I think maybe even faster, rather than the 9-10 months that it normally takes.
Yeah, that's the premise behind The Expanse, the movie The Expanse.
Oh, okay, no,
I mean, not the movie, the series.
The series. That's next
Yeah.
on my binge list.
Yeah, definitely. Watch
One
it.
very last thing, because we're out of time.
Okay.
So just to be clear, there are 3 ways to simulate gravity. One of them is just be on Earth, and let's call that real gravity.
Okay.
Another way is to accelerate something at the acceleration of gravity.
Right.
And a third way is you can rotate something, and then the centrifugal force that wants to fling you outwards, that you'll read that as a gravitational force. And so that's why you have a ring. So if you did rotate a ring, you'd walk around on the outer rim, as they shown famously in the movie 2001,
Right.
Space Odyssey. So there you have it. Going into space does not automatically make you weightless. Only a free fall towards an object will.
Very cool. And the thing that I took away from this talk most is, if you shoot a cannon off a side of a mountain at 5 miles per second, you should duck.
Duck 88 minutes later. Yeah.
That's cool.
Oh, by the way, that calculation, we're not going to get into it here, but I'll just tell you. If you dig a hole through the earth, going through the center and coming out the other side,
Right.
and then you drop something through, it'll fall towards the center, overshoot the center, come out the other side, and if nobody grabs it, it'll then bob back down and come back into your hand. That round trip also takes 88 minutes.
Nice.
Yes.
Oh man. Well, I'm gonna start digging now because
Well, I got one more. You ready? Just while we're on the subject. Earth's equator feels a little bit of centrifugal force, so you weigh a little bit less on the equator than you do at other latitudes. So if I speed up Earth, you'll weigh less and less and less and less.
Sweet.
There's a speed with which I can spin Earth where you weigh so much less that you weigh zero.
Okay. I'm
You
all
know what
about
speed
it.
that is? At the equator? You know what speed that is?
78 RPM.
Chuck, how old are you? No. So that's speed. So if the equator makes one full spin in 88 minutes,
Right.
you're weightless.
There you go.
You'll just hover over the ground. And so basically at that point, you're in orbit around the Earth. It's all the same number.
Right.
That's what's cool about it.
That is cool.
The
Man,
Earth
I love
rotates once every 88 minutes. Everyone on the equator is weightless.
Sweet.
Got to end it there, Chuck.
All right. That was cool. I'm going to Ecuador.
What a coincidence. The name Ecuador and they're on the equator. Who would have thought? All right. This has been another Star Talk Explainer. Chuck, always good to have you.
Always a pleasure.
Neil deGrasse Tyson here. Keep looking up.
Airplane reservations. You planned around getting to the lighting of the Christmas tree. But it's
But
everything
what was
happened-
unexpected ended up being so much better.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's,
Or more interesting.
Or
yeah.
more
Yeah.
interesting.
and in some ways, that's
We get to go down the yellow brick road, and it's really lovely.
This is Star Talk. Neil deGrasse Tyson, your personal astrophysicist, and we're going to do cosmic queries today. Chuck,
What's up, Neil?
when we do cosmic queries, you come supplied with the queries.
With the actual queries.
With one of our regular. Is she a regular
She
yet?
is a regular at this
She's
point.
been on 4 times, something like that.
Easily, yeah.
Yeah, the one and only Kim Arcand. Kim, welcome back to Star Talk.
Thank you. I feel like I need a jacket or something like they do at Saturday Night Live, you know?
She puts the pressure on us now. A 5-timer.
Yeah, we're going to have to get her a master's jacket. A yellow or gold jacket.
All right, maybe we got to do something about that.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that idea. So, Kim, you're a visualization scientist, emerging technology lead for the Chandra X-ray telescope, which is that run out of Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics?
Yes, the Chandra Observatory is a NASA mission that is run for NASA by the Smithsonian. So I am up here at the Center for Astrophysics in Massachusetts. Well, though I'm not technically there right now, I am. That's my usual base.
Apart from the cool stuff you do, what has made your career unique, you have pioneered data sonification. Just remind us what that is. We spent the whole show on that in our archives. People can dig that up. But just for now, just remind us what you do there.
Yeah, so my whole job is just about thinking about our data differently and figuring out other ways that we can visualize it, translate it into sound, which is sonification. bring into tactile or otherwise like haptification types of environments through 3D printing or vibrational response, and just trying to really dig down into how we represent our data, whether for scientific analysis or for communication and public engagement, both of which are very, to me, worthwhile things to do.
Yeah. So if you're shifting the sensory experience, this could be highly useful for people whose sensory physiology doesn't match that of what is average.
Exactly. We work very closely with the blind and low vision community, particularly on the data sonification and some of our tactile materials as well. But all of this grows out of like these are valid tools of scientific expression and analysis, right? So sonification is actually a tool used in the sciences to work with data. It's used by scientists who are blind or low vision, but also by sighted scientists, because you can just think, right? If you're a sighted scientist and you're looking at an image all the time and it's very familiar to you, you can almost become numb to it, right? The data is the data, but you can, when introducing new senses or new experiences, new modalities, it can just like rewire your brain a little bit different, right? So something that you might have looked at a lot or felt familiar with, it can kind of like open a new window. And I love that possibility for additional exploration.
Now, it's not an accident that you're working on a telescope that specializes in X-rays. None of those bands of light are visible to the human eye. But in principle, someone such as you could exist for every telescope that's out there. Because even for visual imagery that we all just take for granted, that we can see color photos,
Right.
people who are low vision or blind can't see them, and that could still benefit from sonification, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So, I mean, Chandra really has been the impetus for this for me, because I started thinking very early on in the mission, this is all invisible data, right? Humans cannot naturally see X-rays. And the same goes for the infrared data that the Webb telescope looks at, and for radio data, and even the data that the Hubble Space Telescope is gathering, right? We are not taking space selfies of the universe. Like, we are translating that data into a visual representation through extreme magnification, through the translation of these different kinds of light. And so that sort of possibility that this data does not only have to be visualized, but there are other ways to explore, it just gives you a new kind of like sandbox to play in. And when you're particularly in tune to how other people understand data, process data, think about data, it just allows you to try some things that can be really cool in and of themselves, right? It's like that cut curb effect. You cut a curb and you can use it if you're a parent with a stroller. You can use it if you have a wheelchair. You can use it if you're on crutches. You can use it if you're on a bicycle, whatever, right? It benefits multiple people. And I think that's one of the really exciting things about thinking of your data differently and trying different multimodal approaches.
It also gives you an opportunity for different manipulation of the data when you're working with it. So, what came to my mind the first time I read, you sent us an article last year, and when I was reading it, I thought about sound editors. And sound editors don't edit using sound. They actually look at the wave pattern of the sound on the screen.
That's where they cut.
And that's where they make all their decisions to make their edits. So that's kind of in reverse of what you're doing. But, you know, at the same time, it's the same principle. It's like you can manipulate the data differently because you're, quote unquote, looking at it.
I hadn't thought about it, because in the old days, they'd have these reel-to-reel soundtracks, and they would be listening for where the sound would drop, and then they'd splice it, cut it, tape it back together to make the final product.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah, and we've actually had an artist take a sonification and reconstruct an image from it. That piece, I think, is in a museum outside London right now. And I just thought that was so creative, right? To take the sound that was produced with that data, but then to essentially backstep it until they had an image. And their resulting image was meant as an artistic interpretation, but it was not super far from the original. Like, it had strong elements of that original data. And I love those kind of ideas of just play and creativity, which seem like they would be bad words in the workspace, right? They're really not. It's just about opening up your brain a bit and just trying to think about things a little differently.
So I have one issue with you. if I may.
Uh-oh.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Not your fault. Not your fault. So in the movie Contact,
Yeah, I love that movie.
which was based on the novel by Carl Sagan, the lead protagonist, Ellie Arroway, was her name, the character's name. She was an expert in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, which is normally done with radio telescopes. And she would sonify the radio signal into headphones, and she'd be listening on headphones to the radio signals. And here's my issue. The word radio, people think of as sound,
Right.
but radio waves is electromagnetic energy.
Right.
And so it makes people think that the aliens were sending us sounds,
Right.
but they were not. They were sending us radio waves that we converted to sound. We end up making a one-to-one correspondence between the word radio and sound.
Right.
And that movie didn't help disavow people of that association. So I blame you for that.
That is one of my favorite space movies, but that is one issue that has always stuck out for me as well. However, I will also say, it is very commonly thought that these images are like direct snapshots as well. So it's just about being very transparent in what you're doing, really describing what you're doing in a way that's clear and makes sense, and just kind of reiterating, we are not capturing space selfies, and we are not capturing like space recordings. These are translations. Like you might translate English to Mandarin, right? You have to have a way to interpret it.
So remind us, this is a cosmic query, so I want to make sure we get to the questions. But catch us up again on what the Chandra X-ray telescope does, which is one of the great observatories, along with Hubble and a few others, each in their own band of light. Remind us what Chandra does that other telescopes can't do, and what it sees that other telescopes can't see.
Yeah, so Tanner's kind of like part of that Super Friends team, if you will, with Hubble, with Webb, with these other telescopes. And Chandra is our sharpest X-ray view, right, of that high energy universe. It has still to this day, after 26 years of being in operation, it's looking at things like exploding stars. It's looking at things like clusters of galaxies and the hot gas that envelops them. It's looking at young stars and the sort of X-ray temper tantrums that they can have. It's looking at all of these very energetic phenomena across the universe. It's exciting.
See a name. Wait, I don't see a name tag.
I don't see a name tag either. All of them.
All right, so what do you say we go? I'm gonna shove this crystal in there. Oh. Put the crystal in here, it went boom.
This is some fancy stuff, considering that it seemed like we were in jolly old England or whatever.
Oh, by the way, I turned both of your voices up to 200%. Oh, well, one of them.
Oh, okay, that's probably good. Yeah, let me bump you guys up too.
I love that it sounds like we're talking underneath masks. Really makes it useful.
Why my blood? Hey, guys.
Huh? Blood?
Bloodening?
Ow.
Huh?
I'm blood. I'm ow.
Why are
I've
you
got
blood?
in the corners of my skirt.
Release the pigeons.
I don't think we're supposed to do that yet.
Yeah, when you reach a city, release a pigeon to let them know here that it's safe.
Man, if you're behind me, I can't hear
Hey,
you
my
at
torch
all.
Went out.
Oh.
It's cause it's raining, isn't it?
A city, at the end of the road, release a pigeon to let them know there's a city.
Ah. Why didn't you say so? Oh. Oi. Oi. Ah. Get in the chest. Oi. Wait. Oi. 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 Oh. Oi. Oh. Oi. Can I close the back door?
Oi.
Sorry. The back gobbledygook ain't working it.
Oi.
Oi.
Line here. Have a.
Boy.
Oi, I recognize that bloke.
Yeah.
That's Boots, isn't it?
You're right, it's Boots. It's Booty Boy. It's Boots.
Hit podcast distractable?
Yep, the
Oi.
mascot.
Can I just say I fucking hate the in-game voice. I would much rather be in Discord.
I would much
Oh,
rather be. Yeah,
terrible.
it's terrible. Yeah, it's horrible. All right, I'm switching. Hey.
Oh, thank fuck.
Oh my God, this is so much better.
I can fucking hear you now. Jesus Christ.
We could be twice breeze here.
What?
Oi.
So what do we do here?
I put the crystal in the slot. I put
Okay.
my long,
Stop, go.
slender crystal in the slot, and then I think we just slam it into gear.
Okay.
And I think we spin to gobble. Whoa!
All right, there we go.
Who did that?
Oi, see you later.
Smell you later.
It follows you. Hey, that sign says it follows you. Is that good?
What follows
Wait,
us?
is there loot here?
It looks like there's probably
Stop.
stuff here. There was nothing.
Oh!
I don't believe.
I believe there's loot. Going for it.
I'm gonna go to the right. Wow, that's dark.
That is dark. Good thing I got a lantern. Well,
Oh my god. When you sprint with the lantern out, holy shit.
This was
Yeah.
a wagon. I see.
That was yes?
They made it 10 feet and died.
what a bunch of losers. Look at
Like, you
these
could still
jerks.
See the torches 20 feet back. They could have just walked.
Shouldn't they have like a crystal in there or something?
Nah, they got nothing.
Maybe they left without one because they're stupid.
Yeah,
All right.
probably. They tried to push it like dumbasses. All right, keep it moving. Watch out,
Alright.
you got to block that where a wheel's gonna. Oh,
It's fine.
We're fine.
oh. All right.
The wagon steers itself. What about that? Don't you understand?
It don't need to steer, do it?
No,
Okay.
it don't do it.
Oh, Putley, cool way.
Okay.
Yeah, what about Putley?
I don't know. I want to see what's up with Putley. How do I
I'll look from the top.
spot for me, boys?
All right, looks like up on the left might be some houses or something. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go check out these torches up here.
There's a path
Alright.
to the right here, too.
We should spread out as far as possible.
I'm just
Alright.
looking from the top of the wagon. I'm keeping an eye out for anything untoward.
I've got a pentagram here in a hallway.
Oh, yeah?
How do I tell what's valuable? Ooh, I found a trap door. Oh, I'm dropping in. Do you guys want to come with me, or should I explore this trap door by myself?
You're going in a trap door.
Trap door. I'm gonna go down this hallway.
I'm
Just a
going in the
random-
trap door.
All right. He's going in a
Oh.
trap door.
Hey, how's it
Hey,
going?
you guys having fun in a trap door without me?
Yeah.
What? No, what are you talking about? What are you?
Oh, come on. I'm the trapdoor guy.
That's why they call you Trap Mark.
You guys seeing the glowy red?
No, Bob went into a door. It's like he went inside of a structure.
Oh,
I'm fine. This is fine.
there's
I'm
something
gonna go
over
in so I can
here.
talk to him.
Okay. Well, while you do that, I'm exploring. So, oh, there's a trap door.
Hey, Mark
going
was
down
trying to
it.
say something, but I couldn't hear him because I was coming in to see you.
Wee. Hello?
Hello?
Is this the same trap door you guys went in?
I didn't go in a trap door. Bob did. I went
Oh,
down a hallway.
hi.
Oh, hey. Yes, the
Alright,
answer is yes.
Hey, what's up,
All right.
guys? How's it going?
Not much.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh, hey, it's
All right.
loot.
Oh, this looks cool. Shiny.
Oh, hey. Loot.
Are there any rules about touching stuff, not touching
Oh.
stuff? Is this like Aladdin rules, or?
I imagine there are
I
good
touched
and
it.
bad things to be had.
I'm gonna go down the right hallway door, assuming this
Well,
is open.
Yeah, don't go
like
dead
the
ahead.
candle.
It's a wall. Wow, I hate that door.
Wow, that's
Well,
squeaky.
you guys went to the right?
I went the
I
other
went
way.
to the right.
I went to the left.
Okay, I went to the right.
Okay. Well, if you hear screaming.
Why don't my torch cast light in a forwards direction?
That sounded bad.
What the hell?
You
What's
guys
that,
okay?
Bob?
Huh?
Bob?
Bob? Bob?
Whatever happened to him, he muted in real life.
Oh, God. Was the ghost in real life? Monster? Whatever got him? Oh, my lamp is about to...
I think,
Okay,
Mark,
my
you
lamp's
should go
dead.
back and go to the right.
All right.
Hey, man.
Hi. What happened to Bob?
I don't know, man. He's muted.
What do you mean? You were right here.
I mean, I was picking up a vase. I heard a horrible noise. My screen turned funny colors. And I ran like a bitch.
What? Wait. Oh, wait. What's happening to me? What's happening to me?
Nothing. You're just standing there, man.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess I'm fine then.
What?
Oh, that can't be good. Where are you running?
Why are you running? The noise!
Yeah, well, we don't know what it is.
That looks like a trap.
Yeah, don't go on that. What happened to Bob?
Oh, no. Oh.
Is it
Oh, that door just closed!
Huh? What door?
This door!
We'll open it then.
Oh, I found
It's
Bob.
a tiny thing! Whoa! What?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, yeah. What happened? Did it go in the
died.
trap? Did it go in the
did.
trap? Oh! Oh, it's terrible! Oh!
I found Bob.
Where?
Over here.
Wow, I can't believe I intelligently led it over the trap. Oh!
Yeah.
Oh.
I can grab him.
Oh,
you
God,
can grab him.
oh, wow, okay, all right, he is floppy. All right, do we bring him back?
Follow me. I have an idea.
Okay. I can't believe I so intelligently baited that thing right into the trap. It's like I knew.
You did. I thought you were dead and I was alone, but you did great.
Thanks. Don't worry, Bob. Gonna get you all better now. Oh, can I not carry this through the... No, yes, I can.
Yeah, you definitely can.
All right.
I have an idea.
Okay, what's that?
We're going to bring Bob this way.
Okay. What, here? On the thing? Okay, all right. How do I go? Drop. There we go.
Good work.
Thank you.
Rickety, splittity, blah, blah, blah. Bob, you're alive, and so am I. Didn't work.
And so am I.
Yeah,
a terrible
I didn't really
rhyme.
have a good rhyme there.
What do I do?
I think we need to chalk the star. We need to draw in the star.
Oh, okay.
Maybe light some fires.
All right, well, I gotta go get some chalk and or
I'm
oil.
gonna drop off my loot before we get horribly murdered by something.
What do you mean?
I mean, there was a naked man you baited into a trap.
Well, it was more like an alien crypt walker type thing. That wouldn't be out in public. It would be too ashamed of its appearance.
Oh, okay.
People would be disgusted by what it is and wouldn't tolerate its existence. I can't get anything in there. I can't. It doesn't work.
Nice
I
shot.
got something in there. I am amazing.
Right. Grab a chalk.
All right.
Let's go.
Oh, I need a lamp oil. I gotta fill up.
Oh, yeah.
All right, and then I forgot I had one more thing. Perfect.
That lamp didn't last very long.
No, it does not. Oh, don't worry, Bob. We're coming.
Hopefully his body's still there. What if he's gone?
Why would it be gone?
I don't know. What if something eats bodies? Oh, he's here. It's fine.
Okay, what do we do?
I'm just gonna...
Chalk in the thing?
Yeah, I'm really bad at this.
Okay, well,
I need
I'm
someone
not.
to color in the lines for me.
Oh, you kind of got to go a little slower.
Ugh.
Oh, it's ooh. Wow. Oh. Bob? Oh!
Oh, hey guys.
Hey.
Man.
Wow.
How's it? How's it
That's a
going?
crazy circle. I didn't even fill it in all the way.
I see your lantern, but I can't grab
Yeah,
it.
I don't seem to be able to get that.